Hey everybody, welcome to Swing Batter. You watched the episode about Russ Ortiz. You watched the episode about Madison Bumgarner. Whose contract was worse? Starting off is yours truly, talking about Russ Ortiz. As everybody knows, Russ Ortiz was a wonderful pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. In fact, should have won a World Series if not for Dusty Baker. And for that, he will be remembered as losing that World Series, not because he pitched poorly, but because the bullpen let his team down. But where did Russ Ortiz go after such an illustrious career with the Giants? Well, he hopped over to the Braves. And the Braves, he did just fine. Not too good, not too bad, but the Braves said, "It's been nice. We liked having you, but you're not taking us to the promised land." And then, as all good old baseball players go, at the ripe old age of 31, the Diamondbacks came sniffing up to Russ Ortiz and offered him a lucrative deal. That's right, back in the day of 2005, he was given a 4-year contract for $33 million, and that's all guaranteed money. So 4 years for $33 million. Dad, that is a great contract. We were really excited about it. And he proceeded to do exactly what the Braves thought he was going to do, exactly what the Giants wanted him to do after they let him go, which was be absolutely no good, terrible. He didn't even get through 2 years of this contract. He finished really, really poorly. His first year was 5-11. That's not very good, with a 6.89 ERA. Then he proceeded to, in the second year, double down on such terrible stats, and that's when he was let go. He was 0-5. He has an ERA of 7.54, and the Diamondbacks bid him adieu, and they paid him to go away. Not only did he go away, he tried it on 2 other teams, which never really did anything. And the worst case about all this is the Diamondbacks were still paying players from the 2001 World Series. So they were paying players that gave them a World Series. Then they started adding payroll to players that gave them terrible performances. So they didn't get a season out of him. If you look at the stats, you look at the innings he pitched, one could argue he didn't get a full season from this 4-year, $33 million contract. The good news for Russ Ortiz in this scenario, he got a great retirement account. And if anyone knows, the Diamondbacks are great at filling up your retirement accounts and giving you deferred payments for many, many years. And that's what they did here. So the Diamondbacks didn't get any better. They finished not even close to the playoffs, and they paid him to go away. And that was Russ Ortiz's contract. And that's why I argue, and I submit to you, Father, that is a terrible, no good, awful contract, and worse than Madison Bumgarner. And here's Todd to talk about Madison.
All right. This is almost too easy. First of all, let's talk about the sheer audacity of giving a 30-year-old pitcher with over 1,800 innings on his arm a 5-year, $85 million contract. It's like the Diamondbacks saw the San Francisco Giants World Series trophies and they thought, you know what, let's pay for those. But here's the real kicker. At least Russ Ortiz had the decency to be terrible right out of the gate. Bumgarner, on the other hand, strings the Diamondbacks along for 3 years. 3 whole years. And it's like he's this master illusionist, like he's convincing the front office, like, I'm just one tweak away from getting my ERA like sub-4, right? In 2020, he posts a 6.48 ERA, which is pretty much on par with Ortiz's 2005 disaster, okay? But then in 21 and 22, he teases the Diamondbacks. Here's an ERA, it's just below 5. It's just below 5. This ERA, it's just above, it's in the high 4s. It's not really that bad. I pitched 100 innings. It'll be okay. Keep paying me. It's good enough to keep the Diamondbacks hoping, but it's bad enough for them to start questioning life choices, right? And there's opportunity cost here. Ortiz's contract, short-term disaster. Get in, get out, leave a good-looking corpse, right? But Bumgarner, this is an anchor. It weighs down the franchise. $85 million could have been spent on younger talent, and the Diamondbacks can do well with younger talent. Could have been spent on cheaper talent. Diamondbacks could have done well with cheaper talent, maybe on a hitter who could actually help the team. But no, they decide to hitch their wagon to this declining pitcher with a name that sounds like a character from a bad fantasy novel, who also has another name that he uses when he's riding bulls and roping them in rodeos. So now what do? They're stuck paying the guy $38 million for the next 2 years not to play with the team. Not to play with the team. Now, listen, I'm when you initially assigned this out, I said, listen, Russ Ortiz, that contract, spectacular failure. Spectacular failure. But it was over quickly. It was over quickly. This Bumgarner deal was slow torture. It just keeps giving and giving and giving. It's a gift that gives, but it's the other way around. It just takes and takes and takes and takes. On top of that, Russ Ortiz didn't rope cows in a rodeo in the offseason under a pseudonym of Mason Saunders.
There was no horse that could hold Russ in his playing career.
Yeah. So that's my vote. Madison Bumgarner. Worst contract than Russ Ortiz.
I got a question for Brendan.
Yes, sir.
What would you say to the argument Madison Bumgarner was worse because he cost $85 million and we got rid of Ortiz for $33 million, so it wasn't as big a hit?
Well, the problem at that time is that the Diamondbacks did have young talent when Madison was signed, so he was kind of a pitcher coach. When you look at Russ Ortiz, not only was he not utilized in any way, shape, or form that could help a baseball player because he was terrible, the Diamondbacks were going through a rebuilding effort called smoke and mirrors. Because they were paying so many players from the World Series, they couldn't afford for the real players to play the game. So they had a lot of minor leaguers coming up, and they paid for performances that were not on par. And Russ Ortiz was not there to help a single one of them get better at pitching, as opposed to Madison, who not only helped the young staffers, but I believe when they paid him to go away, the Diamondbacks excelled and went to the World Series.
Well, Todd, my question to you is, why is your contract worse when you won more games than Russ Ortiz for the Diamondbacks?
If the judge will allow me to take a look at the last year this player pitched for the Diamondbacks, who had the higher ERA? Captain Bumgarner, what was his ERA? Was it above 8? Was it above 9? Was it above 10? Yes, it was. Where was Russ Ortiz's? I think his ERA was just over 7. In the words of Matthew McConaughey, those are rookie numbers. You got to up those numbers. You want to take this contract and bomb it? You need to be 10 plus on the ERA, buddy. 10 plus on the ERA. Everything about the Bumgarner contract was bigger. The length, the amount, the horrible pitching was worse. It is just bigger. It's just a bigger failure. That's why.
Well, I, of course, think that they're both absolute disasters. And it's trying to decide who's better, Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth. These are absolute disaster contracts. In terms of raw dollars, the Diamondbacks spent a lot more money on Bumgarner. However, Madison did give them 15 wins. Russ gave them,
5.
5 wins versus 15. Paid a lot more for Madison Bumgarner. I think the expectations of the team getting better were higher with the Madison Bumgarner signing because they did have young players coming up, and they were really hoping that Madison could be the bridge. With Russ Ortiz, it was a bad team, and the fact that he was bad was everyone's going to be bad on this team anyway. So I think there was disappointment with Bumgarner because he didn't even come close to being an average pitcher. This is a very, very hard one. I would just say that both presented your cases very well. I have to make my decision from how I felt. And my anger about Russ Ortiz from the beginning was horrible. And when he fulfilled all my prophecies of doing nothing, and we didn't even let him try in the second year, we were so disgusted with him that I got to give the award of worst contract to Russ Ortiz.
I think this was rigged before I walked in.
I find you in contempt of court.
The hard part about all of these contracts is as you take out the magnifying glass and take a look behind what happens, it really is difficult to see which one you deem to be the worst. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Please leave your comments about who you thought was worse. I can tell you, Dad, as a Diamondback fan, Russ Ortiz was worse for me because they weren't paying anyone, and then they paid this guy. And I didn't know why he deserved any money. If you're going to pay anybody, pay somebody who's doing something. And they were like, we're going to pay this guy. And the best part, they were like, he's going to be our number one. And he was not a number one.
I admit there was nothing about the Russ Ortiz contract that was redeemable. There was nothing. At least with Bumgarner, you get a good story.
They should have a recognition night at the Chase Field for the two of them together.
Both throw out the first pitch.
Yeah. One's left-handed, one's right-handed. It could work.
Oh, man.
There should be a ring of honor for either the general managers or contracts like this, and these both deserve to be in the ring of honor of terrible contracts that helped your team. Not at all. So again, leave some comments of who you would like to see compared as far as contracts are concerned, because at Swing Batter, we love to take a second look and a deeper dive into the baseball lore of guaranteed contracts. I'm your host, Brendan. That's my dad, and that's Todd. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye now.